fate. What would you call that? 缘分?
Yeah, 缘分 or 命运.
Yeah.
These two words are something that you'll hear in China as not as like a poetic thing necessarily. It's more of like a, like in English or something, you'd say, oh, it's fate.
Or it is
fate
what it
that you
is.
guys, or no, I'm saying you wouldn't say it's fate for something that's like a negative thing necessarily. You would say, oh, it's fate that they ended up together. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Whereas in China, you'll often hear like 缘分 or 命运 as some sort of excuse as to why you don't need to be careful about something.
Yeah. Or why something bad's happened.
Yes, it's a huge part of Chinese culture. It's something you kind of, it's very useful for you to understand if you want to understand China.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the whole fate thing you can find in many cultures around the world.
Absolutely.
In particular, India, I found that people, when they go riding around on their motorbikes like crazy and stuff, they won't wear a helmet or something. And they have that idea that if I'm going to die, well, that's God's will, that type of thing.
It's fate.
It's fate, yeah.
Similar thing. This video is brought to you by MyHeritage. MyHeritage is a fantastic way to build your family tree. Find out about your family history and link up with family members, past and present, and to find out where you come from.
So, I'm a bit of a mixed bag. I'm South African. I've got German and Dutch on one side. I've got British and who knows what else on the other side. It's quite an interesting family that I know nothing about. I absolutely know nothing about it. Like, I know the names of my grandparents. That's about it. So we thought we'd try and put in my details and see what came up. And we weren't expecting much because, South African documents and so on don't usually get put into all the sort of international ones. But we actually had a couple of hits.
Yeah.
Got some information about my grandfather specifically, which was very interesting. And strangely enough, by doing some research on various members of my family, it linked up to other sites that had information on some of my great-grandparents, and I actually got a lot of information which I wasn't expecting.
So in other words, you were able to build a pretty robust family tree.
Yeah, actually, in all honesty, the best part about this is my parents, and my mother in particular, was very happy with this because I could show her some pictures she hadn't seen before, and that whole option of colorizing old black and white photos and enhancing them is really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So it's actually a little bit of a treat because it's quite a nice gift. You'll be surprised how interested the rest of your family is in your heritage and your family tree. So to be able to show them something really nice and concise with pictures and information and so on it's really a good gift.
So sign up for a 14-day free trial and you'll be able to enjoy all of the awesome features that MyHeritage has to offer. The first time I experienced it, just to give you a little context,
right?
I was in a taxi and I was practicing my very rudimentary Chinese right when I moved to China. I was in a taxi and I tried to put on my seatbelt and the taxi driver said no. Right, and he blocked my seatbelt. He actually unbuckled it for me and then blocked the hole with his hand.
Right.
And I'm like, what's happening?
What's going on? That happened to me,
Do you want me to die?
Sure.
You know what I mean? And he was talking very basic. I could barely pick anything up. But he's talking about this concept called 缘分, right? And it was kind of like fate. It's no big deal. And he pointed at his little talisman that was hanging in the rearview mirror, which actually was Chairman Mao, of all people.
Yeah, it's quite common.
And he was talking about, basically, from what I could understand, which I confirmed later because I had this conversation 1 billion more times in taxis in China, was this idea that it's not really up to you what happens to you, so don't worry about it. Like, I'm a good driver, and if you're going to die, you're going to die anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The thing that I found really frustrating about the whole taxi driver thing is, it's fate sometimes, but it almost, at least when I first got to China, it was almost like an insult for you to put the seatbelt on.
That's what I'm saying.
He would be like, so you don't think that, I'm a good driver?
Right.
Is that kind of that kind of feeling?
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, what we're doing here is, if you can look in the background, this is us riding in Guangdong. Actually, not too far away from Huizhou.
Yeah. This is on the route from Huizhou to Shaoguan, which is up in northern Guangdong on the Hunan border. Yeah. Just for some perspective there. We went through the predominantly Hakka areas. The Hakka people were from central China. They moved down to Guangdong, the Cantonese region, right?
Right.
And then we're going back up into some, well, actually, majority Hakka areas through the mountains.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's quite picturesque. There's a lot of bamboo forest growing and stuff, but it's actually quite poor.
Yeah, I mean, this is our kind of stomping grounds, you could say.
Yeah.
We would ride this route very often.
All the time.
And whenever we wanted to do some kind of a bike trip, which we would do at least once a year, we would always take this route to kind of get out of Guangdong or get out of the city of Huizhou, get out of the sprawl.
It's called the Pearl River Delta.
Yeah.
And that whole area, just to give you some context, is Shenzhen, Dongguan, Huizhou, maybe that's it. Anyway, Guangzhou.
Guangzhou,
that whole area, because they're all super close to each other. Within like 60, like it's Huizhou, where I live, is only 60 kilometers, like 30, 40 miles away from Shenzhen, right?
Yeah.
So that whole area is just sprawl.
Yeah.
There's no interruption. And there's like 100 million people or something in that tiny region.
I mean, to top that off, motorcycles are banned and illegal in that entire area.
Yeah.
I mean, there are outlying areas where they're kind of tolerated.
Of course, but we would always try to leave that area.
Yeah.
To try to go ride somewhere.
I mean, even if you have a legitimate motorcycle like we did and you're licensed and you're insured and everything, you can't ride into those areas. They will stop you and confiscate your motorcycle, possibly not get it back.
Yeah.
So we would go to great lengths to get around this. Anyway, the thing is, we're traveling on what are known as G roads here, or Guodao, and you'll notice a lot of construction trucks and just trucks in general. Because
G roads means like a government highway.
Guo means national. It's
Country.
national roads.
Yeah.
It's a national
road. Yeah.
Okay, so these national roads, as you can see in front of us, are loaded with these trucks, which make them very dangerous for motorcycles, by the way.
Yeah.
Because these big trucks usually don't end up going on the highway. Because a lot of them aren't allowed on the highway because they'll damage the highway because they're overloaded and stuff, but also they have to pay a toll.
Yes.
You do not have to pay tolls on these national roads, but every highway in China you must pay a toll. This is something that might be a little bit alien to some people, especially in the United States. You get on the interstates and you can drive and it's free. Obviously you pay for it from taxes and stuff, but the thing is, every single mile that you travel in China on the highways, you have to pay for. You pay per kilometer, actually.
Yes.
And it's something that's
a national thing.
It's kind of annoying, and there are time limits as well. You're not allowed to stay on the highway for longer than like a certain amount of time, or you get fined. It's kind of a crazy thing. Anyway, so you see a lot of these trucks, and I just want you to notice how appalling they are at driving. Okay, I'm not going to say we're amazing at driving here because we're breaking these road rules just as much as everyone else. If you look at us,
kind of have to if you're going to get around the obstacles.
Yeah, so you got these big, heavy trucks lumbering around up and down these roads, dropping their what we call truck juice, which you can see all over the road. These wet patches, it's because they have very primitive braking systems, which overheat, so they spray water on them.
Yeah.
And that's just wonderful because it's water mixed with brake dust, mixed with grease, mixed with oil, or whatever's underneath the truck.
It's slick. It's the slickest stuff you've ever seen. It's slicker than ice.
Yeah, so when you hit it, especially going around a corner on a motorcycle,
you dump your bike.
Yeah, it's just not good. So you have to be very careful about that. So of course we want to try our best to get past these trucks because first of all they're a massive hazard and they're slow and they're dangerous and you get truck juice everywhere and it's just not a pleasant situation. So you're going to see us struggling to get past some of these trucks.
Doesn't help that we have 10 horsepower on 125cc motorcycles going up hills in mountains.
That's right. But I guess while we're doing that, because you'll start to see how crazy it gets in a minute, we should probably get back to the whole idea of fate and why it makes riding in China a lot more dangerous. Actually, before we start, this is it. Look, I'm trying to overtake this guy. Big mistake. Okay, I'm not going to overtake him. I'm coming back. There's trucks everywhere. That's like a death wish. By the way, I was just looking, but look at him. This slow truck is overtaking another truck, and there's a blind corner up ahead. He doesn't know if anyone is going to be barreling around that. But this is where the whole fate thing comes in. Can you explain why somebody would do something like this?
Again, if you are this truck driver, right, and you're barreling around, and you've seen people dead on the road. You've seen, like we have, right? I've seen dead bodies all over China, specifically in traffic-related instances.
Every single trip that we took.
Every trip I've seen dead human beings, right? And I'm not going to get graphic about it, but I've seen people's organs spilled out on the road. I won't say which ones, so you don't have a mental picture for the YouTube censors.
Yeah.
I've seen whole families burn up inside of with those bread box cars, mianbao che, which are like these crappy little vans.
Yeah.
I've seen the most horrific stuff you can picture in terms of traffic deaths, right?
Yeah.
But this guy, so for example, let's say your job is on the road every day, this guy barreling around in the truck, he's seen this more than I have.
Sure.
Right? But for him, the fact that it hasn't happened to him yet means it's his fate.
Look
his
at him
fate
again.
is good. Right?
He's just going for it, you know?
Yeah.
He wouldn't know if there's a fast-moving car coming around that corner up ahead.
But it's his fate.
Yeah.
He's done this 100 billion times, and nothing bad has happened to him yet.
Yeah.
So it's his fate. He has good luck. There's a lot of luck involved, right? And it's weird because it's a hangover from a superstitious culture that Chairman Mao, communism, really tried to kill off in a way. But those elements were pervasive. And the fact that they were never met with real science or anything like this, or statistics were never taught, then people kind of latched onto the superstition and then also had this selfish ideology from communism, which meant that I have to look out for myself predominantly, or else I'm not going to make it out, right? So when you have a society that's struggling with famine, danger, the government constantly going after people, holding people accountable, you have to make sure that you're safe and you're looking out for yourself. So when you pair those things together, it's actually really dangerous. It creates a very actually terrifying society where a lot of the populace is fearless.
Yes.
And they don't think anything bad's going to happen to them, so they themselves put other people in danger in the process.
Yeah, the whole idea of, fate will look after me. If I'm not going to die, I'm not going to die type thing. It becomes an excuse to not take precautions. And it's a stupid idea. It's kind of like somebody who would go around, I don't know, having unprotected sex with prostitutes just because he's like, oh, well, I'll be fine. Fate will protect me. Or somebody who drives like this maniac truck. Or somebody that just goes out there and doesn't wear a helmet or puts their kids on the back of a bike, without any helmets or anything like that, which is very common. Packs 5-6 people on a motorcycle.
Because it hasn't happened to them yet or their kids yet, then it's Yuan so they'll put other people at danger.
Yeah.
And they themselves will go face on danger. And when they see the actual aftermath and the real life consequences, it's not them.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, that's because it's because their fate ran out. Yes. They didn't have good fate. So you don't learn a lesson.
Nope, there's no lesson to learn. It's 不是我的问题 is like, it's not my problem, right?
Yeah.
But it's someone else's problem. That's their fate.
This is kind of indicative of the larger societal issues that you find in China, like people not stepping in to help, a terrible situation when someone's in need or whatever, because it's, again, no lessons are being learned here. It's just like, oh, they obviously have something to deal with because it's their fate and they've made a mistake or whatever, and it's got nothing to do with me.
And it's one thing when it's just that superstitious element, because, for example, you can have other superstitious societies all around the world, but people will still help. The reason that people don't help in China is because of that hangover of communism.
Sure.
Of the fact that when you get involved, then you are accountable for something. And you might get in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's like basically dog eat dog, like very, very much cutthroat competition, and to make sure that your head's not on the chopping block. So those two things, when they mix together, is bad. Because you can have a society where people are taking chances and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then you also have the subset of society where people are still helping each other.
Yeah.
And people are still like going out of their way, well, this will get me good karma, or this will get me points in heaven, or whatever they want to think about, right?
Sure.
China has the absence of both of those, unfortunately.
Yeah, I suppose so. Because when you think about, religion being injected into all this, it definitely helps. You see that in India and you see that in other places that I've witnessed, where people that have no reason to really be good to other people are usually good to other people out of the idea, either fear or is a selfish reason about going to heaven or being reincarnated as something better, or could be selfish, could be genuine, but the fact of the matter is you do see more empathy and
altruism.
Altruism is the right word there, which is kind of missing from China, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it leads to a lot of horrible tragedies. Now, I got to get back to this, what we're doing over here, because we're here experiencing this annoying truck taking a lot of chances he shouldn't be taking. Okay, we really just want to get past this and get it over and done with. And a lot of people are probably saying, look at how you guys are driving. You're trying to overtake this guy all the time. Yes, we are. We're trying to get away from him. Difference is when you're on a tiny little motorcycle, you can very easily duck in and out of places, but also if you pull out and a truck hits you, it's not going to hurt the truck. It's only it's only going to hit you.
We're only putting ourselves in danger.
Yeah,
versus...
but these guys, if you look at the way they drive, this massive, multiple tons in that vehicle.
Yeah.
They are
overloaded.
They go around the corner and there's a small family in a mianbao cho or something. That's it. It's done. Yeah.
I've seen that too many times.
So here we go. I finally get my chance. I'm gunning past this. I see far enough ahead that I'm sure that there's nothing coming my way. And you're right behind me. We both make it past. Okay. And we're thinking, good. Finally, we're rid of this menace of a truck. And you got to keep going and keep putting distance.
distance
because you don't want them to catch up.
No.
You know, but we actually got a little bit of a surprise.
Well, not really a surprise for us.
No, no.
But a great example of what happens to a lot of these truck drivers.
Yeah, so these roads are horrendously dangerous. And like we said to you before, absolutely every single time we went on a motorcycle adventure, every year we would see deaths on the road and severe injuries. This was no exception this time. Because on these actual truck roads going around the corners and so on, we kept talking to each other over our intercoms and saying, you know what? These guys are driving crazy. Someone's going to have an accident. Something's going to happen. And look what we came across here. Here you can see there were 2 trucks involved. And there were multiple fatalities.
Everyone died in the trucks. Yeah. There was makeshift little shrines put up there almost immediately.
Yeah, we stopped. And it was a very recent crash because the hazard lights on the trucks were still flashing.
Yep.
So that means that the batteries still had juice in them. You know, this has probably happened the night before or a few hours prior.
Well, the tar that spilled out as well is still warm.
Yeah,
still running.
Yeah, we're standing on tar that spilled out of one of them. But you can see the trucks, they don't care. They just barrel past. They're like, just another day.
Another day.
Just another accident.
Some more Yunfen on,
exactly.
on the road.
They obviously had bad fate, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, of course, this was actually part of our Conquering Southern China documentary.
It was just the first day. It wasn't a set-up scene or anything.
No. And you can actually see the cause and the effect over here of what we're talking about, right? You could see the crazy driving of like, you know, it's up to the fates, it's up to the gods, basically, if anything's going to happen to me. And then what can actually transpire.
And you'll see this, but this isn't just in, like, traffic. Like, it goes beyond that. It can be in gambling.
Yeah.
A lot of people in mainland China that don't realize this massive gambling issues. Huge.
Yeah.
Lots of mahjong, like, underground.
That's why it's illegal
Yeah.
there.
Lots of underground like gambling parlors and stuff. You'll hear the tile shuffling at night, you know.
Yeah.
People will be up all night. Some drug use going on. There's a lot of like weird illicit activity, but at the same time, it's these people that think their fate. It's up to fate, right? They're gonna win. If they lose, then that's just fate, right?
Yeah.
And it really covers a lot of aspects of life. It can be an investment, peer-to-peer lending.
Yeah.
It can be and usually money related, right? A lot of things like this. People just think, hey, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Stock market as well,
right? You see a lot of this in different aspects or different facets of Chinese society.
Dude, numbers, you know?
Yeah.
When people buy a phone number or a license plate, they will spend a lot of money to get lucky numbers because they think that's going to bring wealth and, you know, success. And that's the thing. Although Mao Zedong was very good at wiping out the religion and many of the traditions in China, the parts that survived were unfortunately really just all about wealth, health, and luck. You know, fortune, that type of thing. That's really it. So whenever people are going to the temples to pray in China, it's for health, wealth, and luck. And that's pretty much what it boils down to.
Most of the time, wealth,
Yeah, pretty much it, really.
Yeah.
So we hope that this is a little bit of a lesson and maybe some can help you understand the way China works a little more. But the whole fate thing that we came across, well, I must say, if it is really true, fate definitely was on our side because we could have been wiped out so many times on these roads.
There's times where I almost went under truck tires and I actually kicked off of them to keep my bike up. It's scary.
Those trucks are absolute murderous vehicles.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like when you're driving.
Yes.
And even just
you see them as like villains. Not even the driver. The truck is a villain.
When
it's
dude,
like a huge villain.
When it's raining and they throw in that crap up all over you, that disgusting dirt, and you can't see. But I just remember one time I was going around a corner and the truck didn't even attack me, but it did. Went around a corner and this truck whacked up a massive stone, like a huge stone off the road, and it smacked me clear in the chest while I was going around the corner on the opposite side at such a massive rate that it just winded me and I almost fell off the bike. And you know what? Who knows what it could have happened. It could have cracked my ribs or something, but it was insane. I mean, that's just one of many stories.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, hope you enjoyed watching this. You know, we've got plenty more of these adventures and we still have our adventures, but you know, this is just kind of one of the unique things on Chinese roads, I'd say. Anything you got to add before we sign off?
No, I hope you guys understand a little bit more about China, Chinese culture, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Can't wait to see you in the next one. Until then, you know the drill. Stay awesome.